Mix 92.3 and Washington Entertainment presents the Ribs R&B Music Festival Weekend at Hart Plaza, August 12th, 13th, and 14th. Free all 3 days. Performing live, it's Stokely. John B. 702. And over 30 additional acts. Featuring the best barbecue this side of the Mississippi. Eventbrite.com for VIP and reserved seating. And we'll see you at Hart Plaza. It's the Ribs R&B Music Festival Weekend with Mix 92.3.
We back again with Sargent Bobby Henry. I want to be correct on the title because there's layers behind everything. How you doing, good brother?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm tired. Get with the newborn. I'm tired.
Facts.
But it's a great journey. I'm embracing it fully, and it makes me want to do this more.
Absolutely.
It's not just this, anything that I'm willing and trying to do, but I can't put a finger on it yet. I'm only 2 weeks in, but I love it. That's my guy.
That's about right.
Yeah, that's my guy. But, thank you for coming back. I want to say you were episode 2.
I am.
Yep, you episode 2, and it was spontaneous as hell. But you came in from Texas, you know what I'm saying? Showed us some love and appreciate you coming.
Always.
And shoot, we was kicking back the other day. And I like to call it, your entrepreneurial flex. You started flexing a little bit. You started flexing a little bit. I'm like, okay, you the one. Like, it's some people that could talk this shit all day. But however, you still have a career under your belt.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We talked about you being into the military and you finding mentors within the service. That's ROTC and military. And now you're retired, correct?
Yes, I'm on what you would call terminal leave or transition leave.
Okay.
Where I take all the vacation days I have and I spend them up. So although I'm still active duty, by the time my vacation days are over, I will officially transition and will be a retiree. Okay.
See, so you essentially done. You're like in the 12th grade with all your credits.
Facts.
So I want to highlight the benefits of joining the service because some people may have misconceptions. And whatever the case may be, that's cool, but you want to also look at it on the other side too. Like
Absolutely.
Someone such as yourself who's done this as a career for how many years?
20 plus.
20 plus years. And still a very young man.
38.
I'm sure there's more benefits as opposed, because, usually you get this stigma of war. But I'm learning recently that's not the case. You can learn some hands-on things.
Absolutely.
And you get perks and benefits and stuff it's just like working a job. True. But it's just for the government.
Yes.
So I wanted to get your take on the positive aspects of, serving your country.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say is branding.
Mm-hmm.
When you are working for a company, you are a direct reflection of that company. And depending on who that company is, that name alone comes with certain perks. So when I started the Army back in 2002, I was looking at it in terms of pay. And that was the wrong way to look at it. But I didn't have anyone to really educate me on that aspect. So I was just looking at the fact that I joined the Army and I took a $400 pay cut per month. And I was asking myself, for what? Because you got to make it make sense to me. And then they would talk about the benefits as far as the medical, the dental, the
It's okay.
prorated insurance.
I'm sorry. It's okay. I go live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So my issue with that was, well, I'm a single guy, so I'm not reaping any of these benefits. So you got to try something else with me. And it wasn't until 2005 when I met one of my mentors, Sargent Jack. He know who he is. He's the one that taught me to look at it as a business.
Mm.
When you put a name behind you, people have representation in their own mind about that company. So if I tell someone that, yes, I'm in the Army, besides the standards, thanking me for my service and what I do for this country, and obviously me thanking them for the support because it's a two-way street, they're looking at, okay, this person is disciplined, knows how to take orders, know how to lead. And then when you look at the civilian instructor around here, a lot of them know some of these Army ranks. You heard the rank of private. You might heard sergeants or corporals or captains, lieutenants. So they kind of get a rough estimate on where you really stack at. So when you tell someone that, yes, I'm a sergeant, if I want to be officially correct, then I would say, yes, my rank is sergeant first class. I am 2 ranks below the highest enlisted rank you can hold in the Army. Then it's like, oh, well, all right. This man knows exactly what he's doing, man. He's no rookie to the game. So when it comes to branding and you wanted to market yourself, you always think carefully of who you're putting behind you. So the benefits that you gain out of the military by putting that name behind you, besides the Veterans Act, which is already elevating me against others, is the fact that my college has virtually been free to me in the military. So I've gotten education for free, and I've gotten training for free. I've have experiences that the typical civilian cannot fathom. I have demonstrated myself for over a decade that I could be placed in arguably the most stressful situation and maintain a calm, collect composure of myself and get the job done and still exceed the standards with minimum equipment. So that's what you're looking at. And then along the ways, there's a wealth of knowledge with these leaders that you're surrounding yourself by, who are open to share. If you find a good one, they're open to share their success stories and their shortcomings, and they challenge you to do better. And I've done the same. So as you said before, there are some things that I wish I would have done differently. Absolutely. And on one hand, as much as I would love to say I would change A, B, C, and D, the reality is I don't want to. Instead, I'd rather take those things and share it with today's generation of personnel that have answering the beck and call to put on this uniform, and share with them that, hey, not to tell you how to spend your money or how to manage your finances or even how to run your life, but if you invest some time into these avenues, this will reap fruits of those labors.
I like how you articulate that. Invest some time.
Yes. It's the one thing that we spend frequently that you can't get back. And you never know how much of it you truly have until you don't have it anymore. So, as I look throughout the years of all the money that I may have wasted for virtuous or frivolous reasonings, good, bad, or indifferent, I gain experience with those things. I have stories to tell about those things. For me, I'm more passionate about the time that I spent, or the lack of time that I didn't spend wisely, that I could have gained a trade, I could have gained a skill, I could have continued to mirror my own personal goals with the military goals that I've established for myself to keep me as a complete person every lockstep of the way. Something I didn't do. And it's something that a lot of young soldiers and even leaders have not done because of how our training and doctrine is set up. But to test your own merit and where your own principles and beliefs lie is, are you willing to take that additional time to go beyond the scope of what we recommend to you in order to achieve those goals? Case in point, last year when I was here, I shared the story how I was just finishing up my master's degree. And I believe I did, when I told everyone how I had to work on this master's degree while going on a rotational exercise with my unit and still perform at the level of expectations that I've established for them with me, with excellence. And to achieve it all had demonstrated my level of diversity as a soldier, as a leader, and as a person. But it was something to challenge myself with. Whereas if you'd asked that same individual 10 years ago to do that, one thing would have fell to the wayside because I didn't develop those skills. And I wasn't really willing to put that level of work into it.
Okay. It's something you say you developed those skills.
Yes.
You say that the military played the part in helping you develop those particular skills, if you can highlight them?
To a degree.
Okay.
So the military is about taking a conglomerate group of people from all walks of part of life to come together to form a common bond to stand on this one universal belief that the Army has built itself over for the last 230 plus years. But that's just giving you the foundation. But as you know, with any foundation, as you begin to build, no two people are going to build the same. And what may be important to you may not share the same weight with me. So, as I would tell anyone who will come to me, let's take college, for example. College isn't the end-all, be-all, but for my own personal goals, college lined up with it. So I chose to walk that route. And it's something that we've gotten away from. We look our noses down to trade schools. And now I'm talking as a whole. When in reality, if I'm looking from a business standpoint, I'd rather invest putting money into your seat to that trade school. You're going to turn a profit from me instantly.
And usually in a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
And then you're getting hands-on training.
Yes.
Because I'll add to that, cause sometimes with college, the curriculum is dated.
True.
Yeah.
But that, for me, is another topic because I feel our whole education system is outdated.
We can go on that, too.
We could. So, if you ask me, the typical grade school setup is poor. It doesn't set anybody up for success. It doesn't measure intellect or capabilities or potential. All it does is just measure my ability to memorize something, and can I take a test to satisfy your minimum objective?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't prepare me for the outside world.
Not at all. Zero. Me personally, I believe as far as book learning, you probably really need it at a 6th grade level because the paper is written at a 7th grade level. So did you know that college, regardless of whatever level, is based on a 10th grade level of high school? Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Anything after that, we're only diving deep and articulating our point or going further into detail with it.
That's the biggest crooks in the world. Oh my God. So, okay, you said, so what about Harvard? That includes Harvard, or is that like a 12th grade level?
Remember what I said about branding?
Oh. You're right. Okay. Damn, we going full circle. Okay. Because that's all college really is.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of these schools that are prestigious for their history, their enriched culture, and the personnel that they turn out because of the ideology that they back themselves with. That's what branding is all about. So you want that top-notch name and it's the most popular thing, well then guess what? It's going to get the bigger dollar.
Yeah.
Because it's all about investing at that point. But what you learn is no different than what I learned.
Okay.
You want a name.
Yeah. You want to get that behind. That's it. That's just the name. That's it. Just look at it solely as the name.
So, in mine, I'll tell anyone, this is just my opinion. But I went to school, and my dream college that I wanted to attend was Michigan State. That had always been in my heart through and through. And I felt that way, I would say, since I was in the 7th grade. Did I go to MSU like I wanted to? The answer is no. But when you look at my level of education, and the highest degree I've obtained is a master's, well, I still fall into, that 6% of American population, if that. And I'll be more generous. Let's go to 8. So I'm still in the 8% percentile category. And you may have went to Harvard, but how much money did you come out for your degree? Because I could tell you, for me, 0 for mine.
And what I really love about your story is like, this is the clear definition of taking the ball and running with it for a touchdown. You know, it's like, I'm going to go here and I'm going to invest my time as wisely as possible. And with the other things that you're learning along the way and experiences, you're also challenging yourself.
For me, I would say it's not even about taking the ball and running with it. I just changed the game entirely for myself.
Okay.
And because I'm not afraid to share the answers to the test that we're all going to be put through, someone's going to take what I've given, along with any other leader or mentor they encounter, and they're going to transform it. We're all about a society of growth and development. We have children to teach those children what we know so that they can take upon it and improve upon it and make it better for the next generation. So we are the leaders of today. We are the pillars. We are the bridge right now. And our job is to continue to pave this road from the leaders of yesterday to prep those leaders of tomorrow to be where we're at right now.
Okay. That's well said. All right. So, all right. Let's talk some shit now. All right.
Okay.
Because we got the mindset. We got your mindset down pat. Now we talking like, how do you move? Okay, let me ask you this first, because this has been my gauge as of late. I don't gauge people based off how much they made. It's easy to be up and then up and everything's cool.
Absolutely.
How much have you lost?
Well, if I'm being objective, I would say an easy meal. Because of what I put my money into. Or rather, what I didn't put it into. So, a man who had nothing won it all. A man who has everything doesn't know he doesn't have everything until you lose. I grew up poor. And this isn't for me to gain sympathy or anything like that. This isn't for me to bash my upbringing. But the reality is what it is. My mom made just enough, or as Dave Chappelle put it, made enough to where you still broke, but you're not as broke as you think you are.
Yeah.
I've had the hand-me-down clothes. I will say all my shoes were new for the most part. I had the homemade haircuts. I knew what it was like. You didn't have milk. There was cereal and water, or just eat the cereal dry. I remember those things. I remember being relegated to certain things, to eating only certain things. So my aunt, because I had told her, my child has never had a bologna sandwich or a hot dog. And she asked did I equate that to poverty. I told her, no, the answer is absolutely not. It's quite the opposite. I equate that to choice. My mom raised me to, when you're grown, get what you want. There's a price, and if you could pay it, by all means, pay it. So when I look at it for myself, yeah, you know what? There might be that one day I wouldn't mind having a fried bologna sandwich. But what's the likelihood of me wanting one after that? Low. So I'm not going to waste my money on the bologna. The hot dog, I'm going to want it on the grill because I hate boiled hot dogs. And I'm not putting it in the microwave.
Right.
But I know even after I eat that one, maybe two hot dogs, what's the chances of me wanting the other 6 that's in the pack? Low. So I don't do it. So there's other things I buy because my palate has grown throughout the years and evolved. And I know I have an expensive taste, but I work for it.
You acting your wage.
Fact. So that's how I look. But in my 20s, my early 20s, and I'll say from the late teens to about 22, 23, I wanted certain clothes. I wanted certain shoes. I wanted certain cars. I wanted a phone. The things that I wanted all these materialistic things that I don't have any of it with me right now. But I wanted it at that time because I wanted it. And that's what caught my eye. Because I didn't have it before. When I learned I could have it at my disposal at any time, then I felt that I was really becoming grown. Because I started looking at things differently. Like, well, these clothes may look nice, but after 3 or 4 years they're dated. So then what? Yeah, we got certain shoes, but depending on what the shoe is, it's out of style, no matter how you slice it. Yeah. But I wanted more. And it took my mentors to kind of educate me on that. Said, get something that's going to turn you a profit. Rich people don't do broke people practices.
I'm so glad you said all of that. Like from the materialism, you realize how much stuff you don't want. And you really don't want these things. Now, I would say sometimes that motivates some people, but that's only some people.
Absolutely.
Find something that's going to turn a profit. In my instance, I want my freedom. I want my freedom at all costs. Yep. Same story. Grew up poor, all this. Missed mother. Half my father deceased when I was a preteen. Mother fell into bankruptcy and she had to work all the time. So I missed a huge, who's no longer here, rest in peace, Elaine Patton, happy birthday. And I lost a huge chunk of time missing her because she had to go to work.
Exactly.
And that also led me through this path of let me not pay attention in school and get a job. And because I realized then school wasn't teaching me, but I was thinking about helping. I was thinking about taking care of myself so my mother wouldn't have to. But with that, I lost the need for material things for the most part. And I had to learn by webinar, book, whoever I can find, turn a profit. And here's how you do it. You should try businesses. You should invest in real estate. You should learn the stock market. And the same process took me forever to actually invest the time. But eventually I did and still am. It doesn't end.
It doesn't at all.
It doesn't end. This is a journey. That's one thing you were saying, because as you're talking, this is something you're doing actively.
Yes.
And it's not, oh, I got here and I stopped and I'm cool. Like, no, you're going to grow. You're going to grow. So but there's still no need for material things. Understand that you can invest in something that's going to turn a profit, whether it's a business, investment, etc. Oh my God. Yes. I'm so glad that you said that. And it's very practical the way you say it too. You know, I tend to be harsh sometimes when I speak. I'll try not to do that.
Why not? Embrace it.
I don't be judgmental.
I don't think it's judgmental to tell someone that you're wasting your money. That's me giving my opinion.
Okay.
My opinion can influence you, but it don't have to be in the driver's seat. So I'll go back to when I was 20, 21. The clothes, the shoes, the jewelry, and all those things, it was the center of my influence.
Yeah.
And it was the center because I didn't have those things. My mentor, who's 6 years older than me, had already passed that phase of his life and was looking, okay, well, he has this hobby with his cars, but he's collecting like vintage cars. Something that, yeah, he spent a healthy mint on, but he had the money to do it. And he knew if he put a few thousand here or there, then this could turn him an even bigger profit than what he spent in the first place. So he just moved differently. And he said, your passions grow with you as you choose to grow. So he had no issues with telling me that I was wasting my money. And I had no issues with being in my feelings, acknowledging that he was right. But then I got older and I was like, okay, well, I'll show you. I'm going to learn. So the first thing I started doing was just investing in the stocks and having investment accounts, learning to pay myself before I pay others. The biggest thing aside from time that we take advantage of is youth.
Yeah, you're right.
Because those are two things you'll never get back. You work harder to maintain where you're at if you have physical limitations. But you're still a young man or a young woman. But you can't move the way that you did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Hell, you can't move the same way you did 5 years ago. And then with your time is something that it matters to those who know the truth behind it. And that it's always borrowed. When you start taking that into consideration and then you start setting hard deadlines for yourself to start accomplishing certain goals or certain things. Now, instead of you being upset when someone's telling you you're wasting your money, you're humbled because what they're doing is pointing out something to you that you may have missed.
Yeah.
So like this lottery that someone just hit, that 1.2 billion, afterwards you took on 433 million and some change, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Now, growing up, I would hear people often say, if I ever hit the lottery, I would never change.
I hate that phrase.
I do too. And it took Lil Wayne for me to actually understand it, because he said, if you're not going to change your mentality, then how the hell are you going to get the money?
Yeah.
So I'm more than comfortable with accepting that, yeah, I'm going to change. I have to. And because of the responsibilities that I carry on my shoulder, I am more than morally obligated to make that change. So the same principles all apply as if I didn't hit the lottery.
Yep.
If I want to retire by the age of 55, I got 17 years to accomplish this tasking. And I've already checked one of my 3-phase plan to do that. So to move on to the next thing is to continue to invest in the things that's going to turn me a profit. Now, right now, the housing market is oversaturated and highly inflated. So, could I still pull it off? Yes. But I have to look at different locations. I have to open my eyes and expand my horizons on where I want to look. And you have to be willing to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Takes work.
Which, when you look at the generation of today, a lot of people don't want to work. And then something that I carry with myself. The generation before us, from our parents, they taught us how to work, but they couldn't teach us how to make money.
I like the way how you articulate that. You might have named the show. You might name this episode with that.
But it's the truth. They grew up in an era that a man that don't work don't eat.
Yeah.
You want to eat, you got to work. You want a roof over your head, you got to work. You got to work for somebody. And everybody got a boss. But our generation, who has more technology at their fingertips, have more information at their disposal, well, we know how to make money. But some of us have lost the art on how to work.
Yeah, because it's definitely an art. Because like sometimes people come at me with their ideas or things they think they can make some money, and I'm a nuts and bolts kind of guy. Okay, problem, solution, result. What is it? And then I don't necessarily see the problem or solution. It's sort of like a finesse, if you will.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or just doing a mundane task over and over and over again that doesn't require any real skill. I mean, I'm not hating on nobody, but
no, but it's all important.
Yeah.
So I never look my nose down on anyone on how they earn money in a profession, even if I don't agree with it 100%. The fact that you have the fortitude to work for a living, that will garner a percentage of my respect. The ones I have issues with are those that are constantly down on themselves. You quit before you try. You're not going to get anywhere. And I had this conversation with my niece, and I had to explain to her. And at first I was saying jokingly that, your generation of adults suck. But when I had to give full context, I had to explain to her, you spent all your energy being down and depressed about what you don't have. Mm-hmm. And yet, you haven't taken a moment to look at where you started and where you're at. Now, you may not have crossed the finish line yet, but you're not at the start point either. You might have gotten turned around. You might have a detour or two, 3. But that's what life is about.
Yeah, it's a journey, and it's the process.
So, as I told her, nothing's going to change until you change your mindset. And dwelling on negativity is far easier than to look past. And it's not the same as being impractical with your thoughts, because you have to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So you face the issue head on. But if you can't change nothing about it right now, then let's focus on what you can do to change to make the outcome more pleasant for you.
See, I agree with that 100%. Is like, it may be someone listening to this and they may be down on their luck. Let's say that. And it's like, okay, that's fine. You're not responsible for falling, but let's do a self audit and see what you can do. And I really mean that in simplistic terms as possible. Like, can you sweep the floor? With a little bit of paperwork, you can sweep the floor at a local business somewhere. You can clean the floor. And I know millionaires that do that for a living. They sweep the floor, then they find another guy to sweep the floor, and then they got a team of guys sweeping and mopping the floor. Mm-hmm. That's it. Sometimes things get overcomplicated, but I said, I like the way you articulate that. And that's something I want to hit on right there is like, sometimes you deal with identity crisis, and a lot of times you can find self-worth and value in the things your mother taught you at home.
Exactly.
Just knowing how to cook a certain meal or even how to talk to people to a certain degree. For For some weird reason, people think I'm a really good therapist. I've been thinking about, should I go to school to be a therapist? It's like, you're easy to talk to. Just chill, man. And I want to hear what you got to say, truthfully. But I wanted to touch on that, what you said, because I notice I deal with it too. It's something I work at though. And it's practical. You may be down on your dumps right now, and you probably be like, man, what the fuck I'm going to do? And then sometimes this leads you to do the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Don't do the wrong thing. Oh, do what's within your skill set. Let's say that. And do a self-assessment. You have more skills than you realize, no matter who you are. One of my mentors told me, you are enough as you are. Just move forward in your process to help do better.
I would have to agree. So one of the things you said that with this conversation that we're having is to impart some wisdom on those that may take this journey and join whatever branch of the service that they choose. Or if they just, as you said, down in their luck. It's easy to take the easy wrong than the hard right. Anything that can sacrifice your character or your morale should automatically be taken off the table. I'd rather have the strength to endure the hard times than to pray for easy ones.
I think you named the episode again. I'm going to have to go through this. I'm going to have to listen to this a few times and pick it.
And that was me paraphrasing the late, great Bruce Lee. But it makes sense to me. So the men in my life that had groomed me have always taught me to plant my feet, keep my head up, and weather the storm. Go forward. You're going to get pushed back, but take those 2 steps forward. And you keep going. Because that is what we were designed for. You're going to want to quit, but you haven't earned the right to quit. I would say that to any young adult. If you're just starting this journey, the fact that you open your eyes is a blessing in itself. That's another opportunity for you to be better than who you were yesterday. So, until you have reached the goal, until you have imparted your wisdom to the next generation, you have not earned the right to quit.
That's an interesting mindset. Like, just sometimes when you word things, it fleshes out a lot better. You got some good dudes on your team.
I do, and I credit all of them.
Yeah. And I also encourage that to find someone.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and with that same scenario we painted, there's someone around that's a few steps ahead of you, that's willing to talk to you for free, just because you expressed that. And you touched on that earlier.
Yeah. You have to humble yourself. So it was an article that I had read about maybe 7-8 months ago. Nothing major. But there was someone that had reached out to Michael Jordan on a business tip. And there's a notion that MJ doesn't help anybody. And that's not the truth. He's not going to help anyone that's not willing to help themselves and be humble. And because this gentleman came to him with such humility, he was more than open to help him on a business aspect. So the way I look at it for myself, anything that I have learned in relations to business thus far is because I had to exercise a certain level of humility. I am not where I want to be. And someone is always going to be in a position that is better than a position I want to see myself at this time of my life. So when I encounter them, it's not about, for me, I'm not trying to ask, well, how much money you got and how much you made. No. I want to ask what factors that you had that drove you. What did you see that was so profitable whether it's in the real estate market or the land or just owning a business. If you can go back and teach someone like myself who has little to no experience, what would be the 3 key principles that you would want me to hold in order to be successful as you, or if not to surpass you? Though that's what I want. And many of them that I encountered was more than open to share their experiences with me. And I would tell anyone, the term rich is arbitrary and subjective, because what you may deem as riches to you may not necessarily be for me. Some people look at it as money, but the value of money is fluent. Some could look at it as property and assets, but that's also fluent. So it's really just a matter of what game interests you the most. So I'm all for generational wealth. So I want something that I can pass on to my children and my children's children well after I'm ashes and dust. So the first step that was taught to me is, well, you got to eradicate any debt that you have. Mm-hmm. Anything you're paying on, you don't own it. So if it's not making you money, it's not an asset. It's a liability. So minimize all your liabilities. A lot of people focus on their credit scores, which is fair because you got no money to start with. You may not have no money. I don't want to say you don't. But your credit is your reputation. It's your brand. Mm. So, if I'm an investor, do I want to go to Club 560 or do I want to mess with Club 730 right here?
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on what I'm doing.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That number, I'm already trusting more. I've already dismissed this. And this person, Club 560, may in fact pay everything on time, have everything on time, and they just may have their assets tied up in a lot. But they're a higher risk than Club 730. Club 730 is already telling me that you may have more assets to back up in the event this doesn't go well. You're already proving your history in itself. So you just need something to get it off the ground. And I could be that push.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it. That's your brand. That's another way of saying, so we're looking at branding from your credit score, your profession, and then that leads to businesses and assets.
Exactly. Anything you do, anybody you affiliate yourself, you're stapling to your brand, your company, your enterprise. Who you move with tells me everything I need to know about you. Because if they're moving like you are, or better than you, it's going to show. I got friends that I've had for almost 30 years and counting. Now, this particular person doesn't have the education that I have, and he doesn't have the branding that I have. But there's things that he have about him that I value overall, and that's truth. Unbiased, unfiltered truth. As equally educated as I am, but took a different approach to it to get it. Mm-hmm. So for me, you're one of the people that I'm more willing to bring up. And in this enterprise, in this empire that I'm out to build, I know that there's plenty to share. So I don't have to breed competition. I could breed cooperation instead. So I'm going to show you how to eat and show you that I'm going to eat more than you because of where I'm at. But you're going to eat good. Mm-hmm. And through what I do, if you learn anything off of me and you eat as well as I do, then hey, we all winning.
And if iron sharpens iron, and if we all up, it shouldn't be no complaints.
Exactly.
And you come back and you do it to the next person.
So as the story that I shared with you a while back, if I say, all right, I'm willing to buy this house and I want to sell it for $200,000, because at $200,000 I'm already pulling the profit. I tell this person, all right, I want you to sell this house for nothing short of $210. And anything you could sell over on it is in your pockets. Now, I just took all the risks because I'm the one that initially made the purchase. But because I'm taking all the bulk of the risk, I'm getting the bulk of the rewards, which is what a lot of people don't want to understand and accept.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if he sells his property for $250 and got me my $210 when all I wanted was $200, well, you already gotten me several thousands over what I asked. Hell, you already went 10,000 over what I was trying to get in the first place, and you just put 40 into your own pocket. 40 for you to do the legwork and not have any risk behind it.
That's a win-win.
It is.
That's a win-win.
But our problem when it comes to business is we either don't like the roles that we're given, or we just never understood the roles that we said we would accept in the first place.
Okay. I like the way you articulate it. Because I'll say sometimes people worry about your business instead of worrying about theirs.
Yeah, don't worry about another man's meal. You got your own in front of you.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you own this company, you club 730, and I'm just the money that back behind it. So if you're coming to propose a plan to me, and you need my money, that's really what it is. But you're taking all the risk. Then I expect you to take a bigger cut of the reward. But I'm going to eat. So my pocket's going to be lined. So are yours. Everybody win. Do I get mad if someone cut out a middleman? No, because that's the nature of business. If I learn what you're doing and I have acknowledged that I don't need you to do this, you're not an asset to me. You're a liability. You're siphoning.
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth on it. Sometimes it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Sometimes.
But while we a team, we're going to eat. And some will look at this as, well, that could be tyrannical and cold. To a degree. But when I look at it and I'm giving you all the opportunities to learn from me, I'm exposing myself to you.
And that's what a lot of people missing. Like, you eating and you learning at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you didn't learn anything from me while you're eating off my back, well, shame on you.
You're supposed to be getting those 3 principles from you. They're supposed to be asking you that question. Yeah. Now, right now, when you're saying that, I'm going to ask you that question. What are your 3 principles that you would use for someone to be as good as you or better? And let's okay. You've been talking more so the overall well-being of a person, and then invest in yourself and then invest outwards.
Yes.
So I can't just leave it business because you didn't hit it so personal. So
for me, what I felt made me successful, 1, develop your vision. And it's not meant for anyone to understand except for you. Hence, it's your vision. 2, surround yourself with a person or people that is willing to help you realize that vision. And then last but not least, prepare yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally for the detour that you're going to have to take in order to make this vision stand on its own. So I have this analogy that I use when it comes to relationships.
Okay.
And I was sharing this with my nephew. But I call it's one captain, one ship. No first mates, just crew. You don't like how I move on my boat, get your own. That's it. How many ships do you see steered by multiple head captains? You don't. So, if you're not willing to move the way that I move, I won't be mad at you. But you can't be on my ship. So get your own. When you're talking relationships, one is the head and one is the backbone. And no one position is higher than the other. They work in tandem. It's just, what do you choose? Now, if I got the vision, then ideally, let me be the head. Let me steer us. You just need the backing to support it. And that's what ultimately what business is all about. Where you are in that chain. What is going to be your role in it? When you go to the bank, they know. We're financing you. So we're about to associate our name, our brand, with you and your business and what you want to stand. Mm-hmm. Now, my job is to sell you my vision to prove that I have it at a certain percentage of a success rate. Otherwise, you're not going to back me.
Yeah.
And the lower that percentage is, the more I will have to kick out up front in order for you to feel comfortable with it. So if I say I need $100,000 to get this off the ground for the business, and they say, okay, well, what are you bringing to the table? And I come out and I say, okay, well, I got $50K, so I really only need 50 from you. Well, what are you looking at for projections? See, these are the key questions they're going to ask you. And if you can't answer it, in their mind, they're about to throw away 50K, and so are you. But if I outline it and I say, okay, with the location that I have and the way I'm going to allow my barbers to move, because we're going to have mobile as well.
Mm.
And I'm charging at this, my operating expenses are at about this, maintenance fees and this and that and third. I'm looking to turn X amount of dollars as a profit within the first year. Okay. If that number sounds lush to them, where, hey, I can actually live off of this, then okay. Let's play. But if no, but I really want that 100K, and let's say I got 80 to play, but I'm not trying to go 80. So I up another 20. Let's say, all right, I'm going 70. I only need 30. So I'm taking the bulk of the risk, but I'm going to get the rewards. Because I'm going to spend the first amount of my energy getting this 30K that I got from you off of my back. Mm. Or rather, off of my company's back.
Damn. Okay. And based off that strategy, you can use the money into the vehicle you invested in as that seed money. And you say you recommend the IRA, the standard traditional IRA.
So the difference between your traditional IRA and the Roth IRA. The Roth IRA, you're paying taxes upon it immediately. The traditional, you're not. But if you pull it at a certain point, then you will need to withhold a certain percentage of it for when you go to file taxes in the following year, depending on when you withdraw. But when we're talking business, and again, anything you do, you're betting on yourself ultimately. So let's take your podcast for an example. Mm-hmm. Every dollar, every cent that you have spent is for the betterment of your show, to make it better, whether it's to give better content, whether it's to have better equipment for more clarity, or as we just had that blip, well, you have contingency plans to where the show doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So now there's unedited, unfiltered, unhinged content that you're providing, and it's real and it's raw and it's relatable. And as you said, I can go to you. You can come here. It doesn't matter where. Write that down. So the market. So the key thing that you're marketing is flexibility.
It's flexibility because everything's on demand now.
Right.
Everything's on demand, and with this pandemic, the good part we realize is that you can do a lot of work from where you at.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I'll offer that. Shouts to Barbara Jones, because that's someone who, we talk back and forth, and she kind of pushed me in that direction. I wasn't trying to, well, now I offer services to other companies as well, because no one knows what a podcast is. Now, there's challenges in finding the clients. However, there are a lot of interesting people. But I was just going to start a show like this and just go, and then maybe start another show and just go. Mm-hmm. But then I realized, my other shows could be people who want shows. Great, let's do that.
So I'm going to veer it off for a bit. I'm going to bring up WWE.
Yeah.
And where I feel they went right and wrong at the same time. This is just my personal opinion, so don't come after me, WWE. But, and as we know, in the 70s, 80s, and even the early 90s to the 90s into the early 2000s, it was WWF.
Mm.
You had WWF, you had WCW, you had ECW. And what I liked about them is they all had their own flavor. Even though certain wrestlers can cross over from one platform to the other, change the name, change the identity, or keep the name. But the show in its essence, they all had a certain niche about them to say, if you want to get this kind of wrestling, you need to watch ECW because, they really get down over there. Whereas, WWF had revamped itself in the early 90s with the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And,
I was like,
it got to the point where it was pay-per-view, a lot of uncensored content that would come out, and they changed it up for them, but it was worth it. WCW started shooting up when WWF was on a decline. And no matter what, you can watch a certain one for a certain reason. Whether you was just genuinely a wrestling fan, or it was, hey, this one have more of my wrestlers than the other, or I just like how they market this.
Yeah.
So when WWF blew up and they became the powerhouse conglomerate that they are today, and they absorbed WCW and they absorbed ECW and TNA and all these other locals, I feel they went wrong while keeping it as WWE. I felt WWE could have been the umbrella, and the subsidiaries of different content could have still been those individuals under that one blanket.
Yeah.
When they went and became a public traded company, I felt that WWE had became very stale and rigid and predictable. And it was that predictability and the fact that they became so stale, despite them pulling a profitable margin, but you surrender something that you didn't have to. And you transformed yourself in a manner that I felt you sold yourself short on.
Yeah, because if you stay yourself,
if you stayed the umbrella,
yeah,
even with going public and say, all right, on the WWE network, you're gonna have ECW, you're gonna have TNA, you're gonna have WCW, New Japan Wrestling. You could have got them on board with it.
Vince controls the market. Just control the market
on a better structure.
Yeah.
So underneath these guys, these companies are doing their own thing, but you're the ultimate all and be all.
Yeah.
So I always felt that way, and if I could talk to Vince, I would ask him why didn't he take that approach to WWE instead? Because I felt that when you lost, I won't say lost, when you gave up that fight on keeping the WWF title and rebadge yourself as WWE. I felt that was the opportunity to really elevate it and take it to something even greater than where it's at right now. And because you would have had diversity, your organization would have been stronger than what it is right now.
I see your sentiment, and it makes sense, and I see why you say it makes it stronger too, because like even right now they can kind of implement that, like just bring it back, but maybe for nostalgia purposes. Nostalgia is very valuable now, but at the same time, like, okay, you had the Attitude Era, right? Then you had WCW at that time. Now, generally the older wrestlers went there. You could have kept the older wrestlers there, keep it wild at ECW, and whatever the case may be, and just elevate it together. But we all know who's the umbrella. We know. Dang, I didn't even think about it that way because we too busy focusing on, oh, well, WWE just captured the market, just took everything.
Yeah.
Like EA Sports in football.
Oh, don't get me started with them.
They just took everything. But again, like you said, then your product kind of diminishes a little bit. Yeah, you turned the profit, but now your product may be affected by that. Your product and your services. So it's like...
It is.
Yeah. You know, and especially for being a household name for so long is going to be challenges just to stay relevant in general. You know? So, damn. I didn't even think about it.
The one thing I learned, the most successful business has a sense of variety.
Mm-hmm.
When something becomes rigid and stale, so does your ideas and what you support. So, when I looked at, and I was talking with my brother about this, with Vince McMahon Sr., when he owned WWF, it got to a point where it was becoming stale. When Vince Jr. took over, he transformed it because he was the young one. He was the innovative one at the time. And it was like he gave WWF that rebirth, and boom, it grew and it shot up and it became something special. And not saying that it isn't that for anybody now, but for me, I can't tell you the last time I looked at it because it's too stale now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you invite new ideas and fresh content and a fresh vision on it, despite we all have the end goal, the main objective, but the vision can tweak a little bit. The direction you take it can change. And I felt that when everything got absorbed, you missed the biggest opportunity to make this the ultimate blanket and still provide the content that you're having with the limitations it's given. Because you could have had content that's, for the older adults. You could have had content that tailors to, mature audience or whatnot.
Yeah.
I always felt that way, that, okay, your pay-per-view was basically that. Like, okay, if you want to see the real raw dog deal, all right, kick out your $59.99 and let's go watch this thing. Otherwise, you got to wait till Monday Night Raw or Thursday Night SmackDown to hear anything on what transpired on that. I feel you missed the boat.
Dang, you know what? I now that I see it, I can't unsee it now. Because it's like, dang, you could have done it, because now I'm comparing it to like Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? Pepsi absorbed all these brands, but you don't see snacks called Pepsi. No, we just buy the brand and you do you as you do as a subsidiary. We grow together. Let's do this. Dang. Okay. Man, okay. I already kept you for a long time. So I'm gonna land the plane. Is there anything that I missed that you may want to touch on?
I think we hit it all. This felt more like the follow-up on everything that we talked about last year. So I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed this podcast. And every time that I come home to visit, I'm sure we'll get to kick back and do this some more.
Oh, yeah.
So I would just tell people, if you get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you want to grow.
Yeah, I figure I'm gonna name this episode. I'm gonna figure out that's another one.
Because that's what it really boils down. If you're complacent, you don't grow, and you'll always stay in that rut. You'll become content with where you're at in life, good, bad, or indifferent. But if you're used to growing and being uncomfortable and moving in different directions and taking the hard right instead of the easy wrong, then you can obtain those goals that you got for yourself.
Write that down. This was a real entrepreneurial kickback. Like, you just sit down and you speak with someone that's like-minded and just share your sentiment in whatever that may be: mindset, real estate, stock market, careers, etc. Easy right. You said hard wrong?
Take the hard right over the
hard right.
The easy wrong.
Hard right, easy wrong. Yeah, because I was getting confused when you said that. Nope, write that down. Hard right, easy wrong. But we're here with Sargent Bobby Henry. Appreciate always. Definitely we can make this a thing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing stopping me, obviously, you see now. I'm going to keep doing this as long as I'm breathing, I'm able to talk. And if I can't talk, I'll find someone to talk for me.
Facts.
So I'll find somebody to talk for me. So, thank you guys for listening. Share this with anyone, anyone that that may want to listen to this conversation. You can follow us on Insta. You can follow us on social media, Entrepreneur Kickback. If you really enjoyed this episode, I appreciate it. If you follow us, give us a download, and give us feedback. Rate the show. I love to hear what you think, because I want to bring more guests on, such as Sargent Henry, and I have a few more lined up. So I want to hear any feedback, anybody you want me to seek out. If you got any recommendations, I'll let your boy. I want to hear every and any perspective that you have as far as this game of entrepreneurship, because the world is capitalist at the end of the day. Rules are different here and there, and really it's us against the system. You have to figure out what works for you, though. So thank you guys for listening. Love you. We out.